vitality equals power minus obstructions. Arnold Ehret. Arnold Ehret was a naturopath and an alternative healer, a German alternative healer that wrote a magnificent, wonderful book called The Mucusless Diet. And basically, this is the book really that set the stage for raw veganism, and even more so fruitarianism, eating primarily fruits or a fruit-based diet, and whatever comes beyond that, breatharianism, etc. And in fact, Arnold Ehret, in his book The Mucusless Diet, which you could actually go listen to the audiobook by looking up The Mucusless Diet on YouTube, it's really brilliant. I've given it a listen several times. He was a semi-breatharian himself. And he said he described the human body as an air pressure machine, and he believed that the breath alone can sustain a human being. And he was a regular practitioner of prolonged fasting, and at the time I believe he held the world record for longest time gone without eating, which of course has been broken since, because I think the man lived in the early 1900s, if I'm not mistaken. So, or at least his work was, published in the early 1900s. But he really believed that he described the human body as an air pump, some kind of an air pump machine, and he really believed that the breath is what sustains a human being. And his idea, so let's review his equation, which will be the central theme of this video. Vitality equals power minus obstructions. So if there are no obstructions, then vitality equals power. Okay, that was his equation, and he sort of practiced regularly prolonged fasting, and he would go on and do incredible things. He would climb mountains and go on these really long bike rides and really do these terrific physical feats in a fasted state, in a breatharian state, in other words. And so he believed if you are able to remove all obstructions from the body, then you would be left with vitality equals power minus obstructions. So vitality equals power. If there are no obstructions, then vitality equals power. And so my own little version of that equation is vitality equals Tao. And what is Tao? Tao equals energy. Energy equals consciousness. Consciousness equals light, love, etc., etc., purity, etc., etc. And very interesting, because I talked previously about Ram Dass talks about this equation, right? Consciousness equals love equals beauty equals unity equals light equals purity. So if you purify your body, then you can say vitality equals purity. Vitality equals Tao. Vitality, according to Arnold Ehret, is power minus obstructions, so power. Therefore, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You are energy, you're pure energy. Therefore, all you really got to do is remove the obstructions from the body, and then you're left with infinite power and infinite energy. And that's what breatharianism is, essentially, in a nutshell. And that's why Arnold Ehret himself was a regular practitioner of prolonged fasting. And so, he would go on do these incredible physical feats in a fasted state, in a breatharian state. In other words, it doesn't become fasted at that point. The proper name for it at that point isn't even fasting, it's actually feasting. You're feasting off cosmic energy, feasting off your own energy that is, it's infinite. So Arnold Ehret's system, the mucusless diet system, is the way you could remove these obstructions in many ways. He believed fasting is the quickest way to do so, just water fasting, and that is absolutely correct. But then he's also got another system which he practiced himself personally, the mucusless diet. Essentially, it's a fruit diet. And that's why I say Arnold Ehret is the OG fruitarian. It's essentially a fruit diet because fruits leave behind the least amount of mucus. Therefore, they leave behind the least amount of obstructions. They are the easiest to digest, the easiest to eliminate. So that his idea was, the mucusless diet, is that via a fruit diet, eating nothing but fruits, over the long run, and he said 1 to 3 years, if you're not going to do any water fasting, he says 1 to 3 years, you will be able, on fruits alone, just eating fruits for 1 to 3 years, he says you will be able to achieve total healing, what he described as total healing. So you essentially remove all obstructions, because still fruits is food, it's still obstructions, it just leaves the least amount of obstructions in the system. And so over a period of time, then the body is able to reach full healing. And what happens as a result, of course, at that state is even you probably be eating barely any fruits. He even says, a fully healed human being, even if you're eating only fruits, you'll be eating very little fruits because your body doesn't need it, because at that point, vitality equals power minus obstructions, no more obstructions, vitality equals power. Even your urge to eat, your desire to eat, even though you're only eating fruits, will dramatically decrease because you've got all this power, all this energy. So you naturally don't even want to put any obstructions, because even fruits are obstruction. They're obstructions. Your body has to deal with them, extract energy out of them, and then eliminate them through the system. But really, he was he wrote this book, and it's revolutionary. And there are many healers out there. Some names I'll throw you could look up on YouTube: Robert Morse, John Rose, Prof. Spira, all of these, Dr. Sebi, right, who also was very inspired by Arnold Ehret, and they all sort of advocate a fruit-based diet for healing, for detoxification purposes, because again, it leaves the least amount of mucus behind, and so because there are the least amount of obstructions, because don't get in the trap of thinking it's the fruits that are healing you. They may have some healing properties, but it isn't the fruits that are healing you. It's just that the fruits leave the least amount of obstructions behind. Therefore, the Tao will heal itself. You see this force, how about that? The force will heal itself. You see that? So the power of healing of an all fruit diet, and I'm currently, like I talked in a previous video, I'm just drinking juices now, fruit juices and coconut water. So that's even going into the next level of healing. And interestingly, so after spending years on the mucusless diet, he would eat only fruits, and he would do these fast, 3-day fast, 5-day fast. Sometimes he'd take it longer, 10 days. And I think he went up to 49 days one time. But he was sort of, whenever he was eating, Arnold Ehret, he was eating only fruits. And so after years of doing this and, achieving this total healing, and this is all in the book, he performed an experiment on himself. He got a knife or something. He cut himself. And he was amazed at how rapidly his body healed the wound. I think he said within a few days. And he got cut himself. He got a big wound. Cut a big wound. He says within a few days it was like as if nothing happened. Then he, as part of the experiment, I think he ate a piece of bread. I believe it was a piece of bread or a couple of pieces of bread. Or a potato, I can't remember, either bread or potato. And then he cut himself, and he said it took much longer for the wound to heal itself. So it's very important to set a proper standard for what health is, okay? Because, for example, if you're eating, grains and starches and all those really heavy foods, dairy, meats, animal products, and then you switch over to say a vegetarian diet, and you'll be like, wow, I feel amazing, I feel incredible. Well, vegetarian, you may maybe still eating dairy. Let's say you switch into a vegan. So you say, wow, I'm feeling pretty good. There's more energy here. But you're eating like nuts, you're eating seeds, and maybe you're even indulging in vegan junk food, for example. But still, you feel better because your contrast, you know, your standard for health, you came from this really low standard. So his idea also, Arnold Ehret, is we need to set a proper standard for health here. Because if you were to go from your just vegan to like fruits only, your standards for health will change. And then of course the next step is breatharianism, which is just living off prana, right? Just maybe water and that's it. And then your standards for health will change. And so to really set a proper standard for health, you've got to remove all the obstructions. And the way to do so is none other than fasting and the mucusless diet, which is basically an all fruits diet. The process is quite long. It takes 1 to 3 years, unless you're going to go the fasting way and do prolonged fasts. We're talking 10 days and beyond that. And then there's the more moderate way, the way I'm sort of going on about it, is the juice fasting. But in any case, you know, this is not something, depending also what's your background. If you just have, you know, cancer or something, it may take you many years. It may take you 5 years on the mucusless diet, on a fruit-based, fruit-dominant diet to achieve that total healing. And so we want to raise the standard up, ladies and gentlemen. Because, you know, again, I could come from a really shitty background and improve a little bit and stop there because I came from such a low place that I think this is it. I reached the top of the mountain. No. You've got to realize that the top of the mountain is, holy shit, I've got so much energy, I don't know what to do with it. I only need like 3 hours of sleep and I'm just so energetic all the time. And you know, that's, I mean, you know, and so if you're in that state for say 2-3 months in a row, sleeping 3 hours a night, you've got so much energy, you don't know what to do with it. You're feeling divine and love and compassion and you're just beaming with light and energy. That's the standard. Okay? And if you're not there, you're not there. That's not the top of the mountain. Keep going. Keep going. Don't stop, baby. Don't stop. What, you think this is it? No. Keep going. Keep going up. So I think that's a good start, really. That's sort of what inspired me, actually, what set me on this path. And eventually I found out that there are actually people known as called breatharians that don't even eat food at all. But that was the sort of initial start, actually. I somehow stumbled upon this book, Arnold Ehret's book, The Mucusless Diet, and I think I listened to the book 3 times by now. Really incredible to listen to, really illuminating, and will make you understand why you feel fatigued, why you feel exhausted, why you feel tired. Civilization has been such a hoax, and you know, the food of civilization that we all have been eating all our lives is what causes us disharmony, because it is this harmonious foods with the human body and what it's designed to consume, which is basically prana and a little bit of fruits. Really, that's sort of the primary design here. And the only way for you to find out about this is to do it yourself and see how you feel. And of course, if you do indeed start a lifestyle based around the mucusless diet, essentially again a fruit-dominant, fruit-based diet, be prepared, because the first few, maybe the first month too, will kick your ass. Will kick what I mean by kick your ass? No, I'm not talking about like, oh my god, you're craving old foods. That's natural part, and this too shall pass. But you're going to experience some detox symptoms here. Okay, all these toxins that you have been building up over the years. And Arnold Ehret talks about it in the book, and he says if you want to slow down, he has a transition diet. He says if you want to slow down the detox, because it could be too intense, the body could be dumping so many toxins at once that it would make you like just basically stay in your bed all day. And then you might think that, oh, this is a shitty diet, let me go back to my old ways. Well, were your old ways working to begin with? No. So now with this new way of eating, be prepared for some major detoxing. And he's got a transition diet, and the way you would slow down the detox is you would eat cooked vegetables and avocados, because avocados are also slightly mucus forming. Okay, and if you're going an all-out detox diet, you don't really want avocados. However, if you're finding that you're eating primarily, juicy, watery fruits, and your ass is getting kicked, like you're getting all these detox symptoms, you've got acne, you've got mouth sores, and you're feeling fatigued, that's totally normal. I talked in the juice fasting video recently about how I got my ass kicked on just juicing the first 5 days. I got my ass kicked, man, my ass kicked, but then it starts to get really better after. So if you want to slow down the detox, then you would do something like you would eat avocados, because of the fats, and anything fatty is always going to be mucus forming, and avocados are slightly mucus forming. They're okay in moderation for someone who's clean, who's already achieved what Arnold Ehret describes as total healing, total removal of obstructions. Then the body can take the avocado and will be able to easily eliminate it. And again, if your body's clean and all the organs are operating optimally. However, in the beginning, there's a transition diet, and avocados are part of the transition diet. And so are cooked vegetables, because they slow down detoxification. And so you could do that. You could, if you feel like, man, I'm detoxing way too much, and I'm just feeling way too fatigued, you eat an avocado, and you'll see what happens. Because when you're constantly in detox, like I'm constantly in detox now because of the juicing that I'm on, just the old juices. See how my tongue is white? See that? It's been white now for ever since I started. It has not turned any other color, and that's a good sign, because this is the top of your asshole. It reflects what's happening in there. And right now there's a lot of cleaning up of mucus in the intestines. So it shows here the body is in detox mode. And you'll see that if you're in detox mode, which you will get into after eating, if you just try and go and just get watermelons and pears and just start eating watermelons and pears, or just watermelons or apples, and after 2-3 days, your tongue's gonna turn white, because you're gonna go fully into detox. And you could try just water fasting. It'll turn white within 24 hours. Juice fasting, probably within a couple of days. It'll just turn all white. Now you've entered detox mode. So again, expect lots of detox symptoms, lots of toxins beginning to be exerted out of the body via the skin, through acne, and then via your urine. I think around day 9, day 10 of the juice fast, my urine started to smell like sulfur. Actually, it did for about 3 days in a row. Like, you know how eggs smell? It smelled really nasty. You know how eggs smell, or natural springs? My urine smelled like that for 3 days in a row, because the toxins were being exerted out of the bowels, and then I got some sulfur out of my bowels too. And then, I got them out of the urine. So your body begins to detoxify. Also, I got a lot of dandruff those first few days, because your skin is an eliminating organ. It's like your third kidney. So expect that. And if you're like, this is too much, have an avocado, or go cook yourself some vegetables, a baked sweet potato, maybe cooked carrots, something like that. So you could look up the mucusless diet, transition diet as well. Okay, I highly recommend, if you're into optimal health, total healing, and in the long run, if you're really, really hardcore about this, breatharianism, just living with no food, then you would want to probably get into that. And I see, I follow some breatharians, and they all seem to have, in the journey of becoming breatharian, they all seem to have gone through the mucusless diet. It seems like a sort of a rite of passage, if you will. Okay, and in many ways, Arnold Ehret was one of the founders of what now we call veganism. Okay, because there was no such thing. That term only was coined maybe in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, something, right? And he was even before then. And he was big into nature, and he was sort of, a spiritual man himself, a great man, and he's inspired many of some of the greatest healers of our modern times, living and dead. Dr. Sebi, for example, the great late Dr. Sebi, who had an untimely death, and Arnold Ehret himself had an untimely death, and you could sort of make your own deductions as to what happened there, okay? Because these people were really shaking the foundations of pharmaceuticals. So yeah, hopefully if you have not heard of the mucusless diet, this is hopefully a good thing for you to look into. Thank you to all the Patreons for supporting this channel. All the love. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I am very appreciative. I don't have my second hand to give you the appreciation thing, but here, a little bow to thank you. And if you would like to support this channel via Patreon, you could buy me a young Thai coconut for a couple of dollars a month. So you could do so. The link is in the description. And if you want to book a one-on-one consultation, the link for it also is in the description. If you're interested, in health, fasting, anything that we have talked about, brushed on. I've been very, very interested in this stuff as of late, practicing it myself now. Or anything else for that matter, anything you could think of, anything personal. So the link for the consultations and the Patreon, if you would like to pledge your support, are in the description. Love you guys, and until next time, may the force be with you.